Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. Today, it's just me and Jennifer. And we are going to talk about a topic that, I'm pretty sure just about everybody on the planet knows about right now. Is that VP Kamala Harris is running to be our next president. Yay! Woohoo! Woohoo! As you can tell by the glee in my voice and the cheering that I just did, that we're very excited. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to discuss our feelings about the future Madam President.
Madam President. Okay.
Madam President.
My first question for you. Where were you and what were your immediate feelings when you heard that Joe Biden was stepping down and that he was endorsing Harris?
I was in the car with you.
Mm-hmm.
And were we driving to the retreat or from it?
I think we were coming home from the retreat.
Okay, yeah, coming back from the retreat. And my first thought was very guarded optimism, because which was in like direct contradiction to your reaction.
What was my reaction?
Your reaction was just immediate, full on.
Right?
Yeah.
I was so happy.
Right.
I was so happy.
And I was happy too, and it was weird. I couldn't put it into words at the time, or at least I didn't do so very well. But I was just very afraid of what she was about to face, right? And I was thinking about this recently, and it was similar to what I felt when Obama won, that I was so afraid for his life, and I just wanted him to be safe. And I feel the same for Kamala Harris. Not that I don't think that she can handle all the shit that's about to come her way. Because, I mean, hello, she's a Black woman in politics. Well, she's a Black woman in general. She's been dealing with bullshit her entire life. And she's a really tough cookie. So it's not like she can't handle it, right? That's not it. It's just a general sort of like praying to the heavens. And I'm not a praying woman, but praying to the heavens that she is safe, that she is kept safe. Beyond that, excited as fuck that this is happening. I am so excited, and I am so I am completely bowled over at the excitement that just seems to be like bubbling over for her campaign. And I'm here for it. I'm a little bit surprised, but it's a good surprise, and I'm here for it. Yeah. Okay. So we've already alluded to your reaction, but go ahead. Tell us more about your reaction when you heard.
So you and I had hopped in the car from the retreat. We're driving home. I think it was my niece who texted me and said, hey, Joe Biden. And I peeked down while I was driving, and I was like, Raquel, Joe Biden stepped down and he's endorsing Harris. And you were like, what? And I was like, yeah. And I swear what I felt was like more than me. It was like transpersonal. I felt like this collective, we have hope now. Because there was, in my opinion, facing the election between Trump and Biden, I really felt that Trump was probably going to win. And even if he didn't, I wasn't seeing Biden as I wasn't loving the idea of having a second term with Biden. And we'll talk about it more. There's some reasons why, but it just didn't give me, at least two old white guys fighting it out, didn't give me any hope for our future. Like, obviously, if Biden won over Trump, we're not going to not have to worry about the next election because nobody's going to have to vote, right?
Right, right.
It's not, we're not going to have a dictatorship like it sounds like Donnie Boy wants to have. So, and if he wins, I'll be going to jail for calling him Donnie Boy.
Well, we both will be in jail for everything that we've done our entire lives.
Yeah, probably.
Including specifically this entire podcast.
Right, right. But what I really felt was like the possibilities of the world have just shifted.
Yeah.
Like there's a possibility shift, a time warp shift. We just went into a new realm. If we're going to talk about quantum physics, like a new timeline opened up.
Yep.
Something new and better and different. And God knows, I know it's not like the golden ticket that's going to save us or anything like that, but it's so bright now. The possibilities are so bright and I'm so excited. One of the first things I said, someone came out and said, well, blah, blah, blah. And I said, nope, I'm not hearing anything. I'm not hearing anything that's negative about it because we all know that exists, but I'm going to ride the wave of all the positive about it right now.
Yep.
I'm going to
all
be
the enthusiasm.
Going to be happy and excited and enthusiastic and seeing how the world is going to change for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I am so thrilled for little kids who are old enough to grasp what's going on right now with this and what this means, right? And just seeing this happen. And, you know, and like I think about what I would have felt as a little kid seeing this.
What would you have felt?
I would have been overjoyed. And like you said, it would have felt like, and it does now, even as, you know, a 54-year-old woman, it feels like the world is opening up. It has opened up in a whole new way. It's a whole new possibilities, new opportunities. The world is a different place now. And there's this crazy sense of pride, you know, like, look at that. Holy shit. Someone who looks like me is going to be in the White House. You know, it's literally my entire life. It was like, no, it's never going to happen. Yeah, there was always the, wouldn't it be great kind of thing, right? Like, wouldn't it be great if a Black woman was president and ran the free world? Like, wouldn't that be cool? But it was like, it's not going to happen. That'll only happen like in science fiction. Or
I remember in our first year of podcasting, we talked about a woman of color president, and you said, or I said, but I think it was you said, I don't think I'll see it in my lifetime.
Yeah, I didn't.
Or I think what you said is, hopefully we'll see it, maybe not in my lifetime or something like that. But it wasn't such a strong, it was always a desire, always a wish, but never a very strong possibility that could actually, that we could actually be here to see it happen. And soon.
Yeah. And okay, and so here's the crazy thing is that in the 2020 primaries, I voted for Kamala Harris. Like, she was my choice in the beginning. And when she dropped out, I mean, my heart was broken. Literally, my heart was broken. I was like, fuck, you know, like, come on. But then when Biden chose her as his VP, I was like, okay, this is awesome.
It is awesome.
But I still had that kind of like, well, you know, it's great that she's VP, but well, shit, that's as far as it's going to get, right? Like, there was still a little bit of consolation prize to it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I know it sounds horrible, but that's how
No,
I
no,
felt.
no. I felt that way too. I didn't vote for her. I'm trying to think of who I voted for. I don't even remember, but it wasn't Joe Biden. And I remember, oh, my brother had such a strong stance on it. He was like, we have to vote for Joe Biden because he's the only one that could beat Trump. And do you remember we had so many qualified people?
So
many qualified people. It was
Yeah.
like, any of them but the old white guy, please.
Yep.
And
Yep.
no, we got the old white guy again.
Yep.
And I think Joe Biden put in lots of years of service. This is not this is not to say he just was never anybody's first choice. Everybody just said we have to pick him because he's the only one, because he's good at working both sides of the aisle. He's got he's had so many years of blah blah blah. And maybe, maybe he was the one that beat Trump that year.
I think in that time, yes, I think people were right. I mean, obviously, because he won.
Yeah.
But I think his 4 years in office, first off, gave people a little bit of a respite. Like, okay, things are improving. Look at all these great things Biden's doing. It gave, Harris some time at like that level of
some experience,
service, right? And it gave people time to see just how unhinged and dangerous Donald Trump is.
Yes, true. Very, 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 very true.
And so all of that kind of coalescing gave people the opportunity to develop their activism and enthusiasm and figure out, okay, wow, what are we going to do going forward? How am I going to do XYZ, right? And I think all of that was incredibly necessary. Yeah, so I think all of it was necessary. And when Biden was saying that, he was running for a second term, no, people were not excited. There was no enthusiasm about it. Nothing against Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden he seems like he's a lovely human being who cares about the little guy. Okay, he's not perfect. He's got
I got some issues.
There are some problems, and he has done very problematic things.
Well, don't you think that every president that gets into office will have some things that are problematic, some things that aren't, for each individual person who's looking at it to decide on their own.
Absolutely. However, because we are not perfect people.
Also, because politics is a game in some regard. You do have to, in some ways, toe the line just to get where you are. You have to have backers, you have to have supporters, you have to have money.
There's a lot of strategy involved, I think, in politics that we don't generally think about just as general citizens walking around in our daily lives.
No, we don't. And I was listening to some podcasts about Vice President Harris this week to kind of get to know more of the policy, etc. And there were people who called her as the president 10 years ago. Who are like, this is going to be our first female president.
Yeah.
And how they did that, I have no idea. But people who were looking at the trajectory of how things could play out called it years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's interesting. And so there is politics involved in politics. And there's a lot of money. And I feel like someone like Joe Biden, someone like Vice President Harris, someone like Obama, someone like Clinton, someone like all of them. I'm only picking Democrats because that's the way I go. But they never can have the full presidency the way that they personally would want it to be, because they are representation of the public.
Exactly. Because they are not dictators.
Right. Because they are not dictators.
Have to work with so many people. I mean, yeah, they hold the title and they're the top of the food chain, and the buck, ultimately stops with them. But they have so many people that they have to work with, and there are so many people that they have to consider. I mean, they obviously, all of us, they have
Right.
all of these considerations that play into what they do and what they can do, that there's always going to be some give and take, and there's always going to be some compromise. And maybe this is just a product of getting older, but I've realized that, yeah, they say, I want to do this, 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 and this, and they have like this list of 10 or 20 or whatever things. They're not going to get all 10 or 20 things done. Or the 10 or 20 things are going to look different slightly than what they initially presented, because they have to work with so many other people to get things done.
Okay, so my one beef with President Biden, and the reason a lot of people were saying they may no longer vote for him, and God knows they weren't going to vote for Trump either, but that was going to leave us very vulnerable, had to do with the U.S. support of Israel. That is not going to change, switching to Vice President Harris as our new president, as Madam President. That argument seems to have been falling by the wayside now. I have heard a few people speak on it. Marianne Williamson said that these two things are not mutually exclusive, that we need to look at what's best for our nation, which is, by the way, to elect Harris as our new president, but also to still hold them accountable for. What's your feeling on that?
I think that Harris is going to be a stronger voice in pushing back on Netanyahu, I think. And that doesn't mean that she's against Jewish people or Israel. I mean, hello, her husband's Jewish. But what I think what that means is that she's going to be a much stronger force saying, look, this has gone on a long time. People are hurting. People are dying. People are being killed. And the hostages aren't home. The hostages haven't been, I mean, some are home. Some have been brought back and have been rescued. But
it's not really
what about the
that.
rest of them? What about the rest of them?
Well, we could totally politically get into this, but
yeah. But I think she's going to be one to push harder than Biden has for a whole host of reasons. But I think I hope that there's going to be some change with Harris being president as opposed to Biden being president.
Well, I do think there'll be change, but my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I'm no political expert for sure. I think war is profitable. And I think that I think that colonizing other nations is profitable. And I think that we'll continue to support Israel, is what I believe. And I do believe it's genocide. And I'll just come across and say that. And I do care about the hostages, and I do care about Jewish people, and I still think it's a genocide. And I think you can love multiple people or care for multiple people at the same time.
Right.
But I don't think that this is going to be some magic pill.
No.
Because policy is policy. And the U.S. has always supported Israel. It's big power. It's big business. It's money. It's a war machine. And even when Obama was in office, Obama still supported the war machine. It is part of American politics.
Yeah.
And it's the part that I really believe is probably one of the most ugly parts, that genocide, slavery, the history of what this country was built on. Those are the ugly sides of politics. But we continue to perpetrate them with the two-party system, in my opinion. Either party, we're a warmonger. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. But I got my 2 cents in.
Yeah, you did.
So in 2016,
yeah,
I thought, and I even put it on my Facebook, so it was in writing, people. I thought we were going to have our first female president. Never came to pass.
No, it did not.
How do you think this situation is different?
I think people are far more mobilized. I think people's eyes are open to, or more people's eyes are open to how dangerous Trump is. I think the radicalization of the Republican Party is much more advanced than it was in 2016, and people realize it now as opposed to then. And I think that there is a broader base of support for Harris than there was for Hillary Clinton.
I agree.
And so I think a Harris presidency is much more likely than a Hillary Clinton presidency. Even though I was convinced.
Me too. Me
too.
I
told that Hillary was going to win.
I told everybody she was going to be our first president.
Yep.
But interestingly enough, I wasn't super proud. Sorry, Hillary. I wasn't super, and I still want to read Hillary's book because
of course,
I feel like she's been most likely misrepresented in all of the media that I've consumed. Absolutely. I want to read her book. I want to read her words. But I felt like even with Hillary and Trump, we were still voting for the lesser of two evils. And I've been voting for the lesser of two evils since I was allowed to vote. And this time, I don't feel like I'm voting for the lesser of two evils. I feel like I get to vote for who I want to be president. Yeah.
Oh, I definitely am voting for who I wanted, because I wanted her to be president before. But did you feel that way even when Obama ran?
Oh, no, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
No. Okay. No. I totally wanted Obama to be president. No. I guess I misspoke.
Okay.
It wasn't completely accurate, but I feel like most of the time we're voting for the lesser of two evils. It feels like it's been going on forever. No, I remember where I was when President Obama won. I was in a little bar in the middle of Ann Arbor with a bunch of people drinking beer, and it was so exciting.
Yeah, I was at home, and I was just like, I mean, I was glued to the television. Yeah. And they announced that he won, and I just started crying and jumping up and down and cheering. And I called my cousin Robin, and she and I were just like screaming on the phone in just absolute glee.
Yeah.
And I fully anticipate that something like that, or even greater, will be my reaction when they announce that Kamala Harris has won. I fully expect that I am going to cry tears of joy. My heart will swell with pride. I fully expect that my view of the world will probably change. I fully expect that, because I feel like my view of the world has changed just with her being our nominee. Yes, it'll become official, this week with the convention. But
probably by the time this airs, it'll be official.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have so much pride in what is happening right now. And I'm proud of our country. I am proud of the volume of people who quickly mobilized and got together and started doing things and just
She's gonna win. She's
yeah,
gonna win. She's
yeah,
gonna win.
love
Okay,
it.
so the last election, votes were in, and we waited, and we waited, and we waited, and it seemed like weeks. I don't remember how long it was, but it seemed like
it was weeks.
It seemed like weeks, and then they finally, it was so close, and they finally get to the day, and they announce it. And I remember being so freaking excited. Number one, that we defeated Trump. That
Yeah,
was huge. That was
yeah,
like, but number two, also to watch Vice President Harris as she became vice president. That was a huge, amazing moment in history. And it was beautiful. This time, I hope that it's a fucking landslide. That
yes,
like
please, Jesus, please.
just like no waiting. That it just, I want to be watching those states just
Yep.
turn blue, turn blue, turn blue, because I want to be, I want my faith in the humanity of our country to be restored. I want, when Trump was elected that first time, I was so hurt. Like physically me hurt as a woman that we would pick this man. I know I've said it before, but we
Oh
would
yeah,
pick this man that would hate on women so.
yeah. I was afraid, afraid, literally. And okay, some people can think I'm being melodramatic. Fuck them. I don't give a shit. But this is exactly how I felt. I was scared shitless for my fucking life and for the lives of people who look like me. And I felt for the first time what I imagined it felt like for Black people in the 50s. And I don't like that feeling. I don't want to feel that again, ever.
Nor
Ever.
should you, nor should you have to.
I was devastated.
Yeah.
And I was so disappointed in people. I was disappointed in this country. I felt like somebody had come along and just hit me in the chest and knocked the wind out of me.
It was like the wild backlash to having President Obama be elected. It was like this huge victory, and then this whiplash of nope, fuck you, we're gonna knock you guys all back down. And that meant anybody who was not in that fucking assholes. All right, let's talk a little bit about President Harris's policies. Donald Trump, he seems to be like really fighting for billionaires, large corporations to get tax cuts. He's also, he says he's never heard of Project 2025.
That's bullshit.
But I find that hard to believe when his name is listed in that document. So it seems it's like billionaires, large corporations, and the religious
right. Yeah.
The religious rights, crazy fucking rhetoric to turn us all into the fucking handmaiden, to turn us into Gilead,
Yeah.
where you and I, by the way, are either going to get murdered or sent out into the fields to work. And when they see how I work in the field, I'll probably get murdered. Keep up, woman. I've never had to work hard in my whole life. I don't know how to do this work. Well, you can't have a baby, you're out.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
So how do you feel Vice President now, but soon to be Madam President's policies differ from that?
They differ wildly because she's not gonna be like, she's not gonna have tax cuts for the fucking billionaires for sure.
Eat the rich, people, eat the rich. We're gonna have to.
But she's already said that she, and I think this is going to be a point of confusion for people. So I hope there's better messaging around it and better specific messaging around it. She was talking about people who get tips. Actually, they both have. I've been talking about people who get tips and that they won't get taxed on those tips. The difference between the two is that when Trump is talking about it, he's basically saying his buddies, right, who work on like the hedge fund guys who basically they live on commission, and they
Oh,
get these big bonuses.
We're talking $1 million tips, not
Right, yeah,
$2.50.
exactly. But the way that he would structure things is that their bonuses could be construed as tips so that then they're basically not getting taxed on millions of dollars. So that's more of tax cuts for billionaires or, ultra rich people. Harris's version is for people who work in hospitality and
who make still exactly what I made when I was a waitress, $2.50 per hour plus your tips.
Yeah,
who still make that as their base wage, by the way.
Yeah, and who generally end up still making maybe $30,000 a year. Her plan is that the tip issue is going to be specific to people who generally are not getting tips of millions of dollars, right? So that plan is going to be much more beneficial for middle America, people who are making lower wages, people who are basically like in the gig economy, and people who basically are waiting tables and living, just relying on tips, which is not generally a lot of money. So that's going to benefit more people. Her plan about building by the end of her first term, because she's going to be reelected. Woo, woo, woo. So her plan by the end of her first term to have, 3 million new homes and rentals built so that it's much more affordable for people, because there's going to be more, what's the word I'm looking for? There's more supply.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Supply to meet the demand. Also, she said she's looking into a plan to give first-time home buyers $25,000 as a credit on their down payment, which would be freaking amazing.
Yeah,
it could get a lot more people into homes.
It could get me into home ownership.
Yay! Let's get you in,
dear baby Jesus.
I think that is an incredibly well thought out plan, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's really putting money where it's beneficial to people. And I also like how she tied that back to her mom saving to be the first time home buyer, saving for over 10 years to get them into a home, which is really cool. Yeah, because she knows what this struggle is like. Yeah. And I'm not saying that there aren't wealthy people who don't get it, right? I mean, there are people of means who understand. There are. I hear what you're saying, but do they ever really get it? Have they ever made the choice about?
No. Maybe.
Do they ever make the choice of, do I buy diapers or do I get food? Right. Do I?
That's a very, very good point.
If I get a flat tire on the way to work, does it keep me out of my job for a week?
Yeah. Because I get it.
They've never they have health care that pays for everything. So they're not thinking, oh, do I not go in for this doctor's appointment, even though I think I have strep throat, because I know it's going to cost me $100 out of pocket and I don't have that $100. I need that $100 for gas to get to work, but I can't go to work because I have strep throat. Like, have they ever really played that game?
You're right. You're very right. You're very right.
So they understand to some degree.
Yeah.
They see it, they want to help, some of them. They don't like it, but do they really understand?
Well, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. But
just like I
what
don't think I could say I really understand what it's like to live on the street because I've never done it.
That's very true. That's very true. But what I was saying though is she gets it. She knows what it's like to have to make those decisions, to constantly worry about, oh, my check engine light came on. Oh shit.
Yeah.
How much is this going to cost? Oh God. And then living with that fear of, oh God, please just let my car continue to run until I can pay for the diagnostic to get, do you know what I mean? Like she knows
I
what
do
that
know.
stress is like.
I do know, and
So she knows. Yeah.
I do know, and I don't know as much as some people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's all relative, but I do
absolutely.
But I think what we're saying is she has lived it. She has lived the experience growing up. Okay, so another thing that has come up that I really want to talk about, I hear a lot in the media is she a cop or is she a progressive?
Yeah.
So is Raquel,
Oh, Jesus.
person who knows everything, is she a cop or is she a progressive? And can you be both? Can these worlds intercollide?
I think they can, and I think they do with her. She was a prosecutor. And yes, a prosecutor is basically the attorney version of a cop, right?
Top cop is the way I heard it referred to.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes, she had to do things as a prosecutor that were problematic. But she also did things that were not problematic. Like and I forget the name of the program, but she created a program to help people re-entering society from being in prison.
Yep.
She also is against the death penalty.
Yep.
And as far as I know, throughout her career, she has been, even as a prosecutor. She also because there's this misconception, and it just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed, that that convictions specifically of Black men increased during her time as the attorney general. But the reality is that they didn't. But that myth keeps getting pushed.
I wonder by whom.
Yeah, by lots of people. And even people who, for instance, Joy Reid on MSNBC, her show The Readout. I adore Joy Reid, love her, she's awesome. But she posted on her Instagram that even she fell for the myth. And she has posted recently that she's like, I was wrong. I was wrong. That myth has been debunked, and I was wrong. And the information that's been put out there is completely false.
Because if we repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, people just assume it's truth. Also, the same thing. What's this shit about she slept her way to the top? First of all,
God.
First of all, so what if she did?
Yeah, even if she did.
Right? So what if she did? So what do you got? A bunch of men, white men, who are upset that she slept her way to the top? How did you get to the top? Or did you not? Okay.
Yeah.
But she didn't sleep her way to the top.
No, she did not. She did not. No. She is smart as fuck. She's capable as hell. She has proven herself time and time and time again, if she were just if she had gotten to where she is just because, she slept with, X, Y, and Z, we would know. Like, she would not have been able to prove herself as consistently as she has. If she were not a qualified individual, she would not be where she is. She has proven herself time and time and time and time again.
I love to hear her speak.
Yes.
When she's speaking, and I think about the day when she's our president, and I think she's articulate. She makes full sentences. She makes sense. She sounds
brilliant.
educated. She's smart.
Brilliant.
She chooses her words wisely. She also looks good. She looks the part. It's like, this is who I want to be my president. When Trump was our president, I was embarrassed by that.
So embarrassed. So embarrassed.
Embarrassed. Like, how do we look to the rest of the world? With her, I feel proud.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
She
is an amazing representative for our country and a representative of what our country truly looks like.
Did you know that she has a YouTube channel where she talks about cooking?
I didn't know that she had a channel, but I knew that she's gone, like, there are videos of her cooking with other people. Like, I think there's a video of her cooking with, is it Mindy Kaling that she cooks with? And they're doing stuff and they're talking about, yeah, I've seen that video, I think, but I didn't know she had her own channel. I did know that she likes to cook.
I might have misrepresented that a little bit. She has her own YouTube channel where she has lots of stuff that she does, but on it, she has several videos of her cooking with different people.
Yeah.
And she talks about food a lot. And she also weaves in her politics in the discussion around food. Yeah.
Love it.
I didn't find that out till just recently. And I've really, really enjoyed her personality. Like she's got a great personality.
She's a real person.
Yeah.
She can relate literally to anyone. I mean, she can have an actual conversation with anyone from princess to paupers.
Well, what I want to say to the audience is if you haven't checked out her YouTube channel, check out some of those videos. They're really cool. She's really cool. Did you see that conversation with her and Tim Waltz about tacos?
No, I didn't.
Everybody go on and watch it. She's talking to him about really her decision to choose him, but also he's explaining that his taco is a white man taco. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, it's just basically ground beef and cheese. And she's like, do we get any seasoning? And he's like, no. It's really cute. I don't know. It's more human. It's more real. She's got a great personality. And that
really does.
That's something I didn't really expect to identify with so much. That's refreshing.
Yeah. Okay. So you brought up Tim Waltz.
Yeah.
What was your initial opinion about Tim Waltz and and has it stayed the same?
Okay, so my initial opinion is I didn't know who the hell he was. I had to look because I had other ideas of who might get picked, and obviously that isn't what happened. So that's cool.
Who did you think was going to get picked, and was that your pick?
I didn't think he was gonna get picked, but I would have been very happy with Pete Buttigieg. I can never say his name.
Buttigieg.
Yeah, and I also thought she might pick Newsom from California.
Okay.
I'm from Michigan, and I was screaming for Gretchen Whitmer, but nobody really thought that would happen, which is fine. But when she picked When she picked Tim Walz, I had no idea who he was. So I had to go online and look. And the first thing that I heard was he used to be a school teacher. So I thought, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's something I can definitely relate to in my family. Everybody in my family was a school teacher. It's funny because you should see JD Vance like trying to tear, well, you probably have seen him trying to tear him up
It's
about.
so sad.
Yeah, and he's like,
so sad.
He wasn't a football coach, he was an assistant coach.
He's
okay.
It's so pitiful.
Okay.
JD Vance is so pitiful.
Right. I don't know a whole lot about him. I think he's probably a wise choice. I think he probably, for voters, I think he probably balances out the ticket very well.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he did all that work for the kids to get free lunch, to eat. He was concerned about kids eating. I like a man who's concerned that kids get food. I think that's really important. They talk about his military service. I don't really care about stuff like that. I know a lot of people do, so don't shoot me down. But I think he's a good, wise choice. He looks like you're kind of like your all-American, Midwestern kind of dude.
Yeah.
I'm not as excited about him as I am about her, but I think they make a good pairing. How about you?
Yeah.
What did you think when you first heard, and how has that changed?
My choices were Josh Shapiro and Pete Buttigieg. I didn't think either of them were going to get picked because as much progress as we've made, I really don't think our country is ready for a Black Asian woman and a Jewish man, or a Black Asian woman and a gay man. I think that's probably too much for our, I know either of those would have been amazing and I was all for it, but I don't think our country's quite ready for that combination yet. That's a little too much from the handle at once. You got to spoon feed people. So I was like, okay, those aren't going to happen. But when she picked Tim Walz, I didn't know who Tim Walz was. It's been decades since I lived in Minnesota. So I haven't kept up with Minnesota politicians. I have not.
So you didn't know either.
I had no idea. But what I do remember about living in Minnesota is that Minnesota Democrats generally are pretty fucking awesome. And they generally tend to be fairly progressive. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then I started to learn more about him. And I was like, I like this dude. He did institute the program where kids get free breakfast and lunch, regardless of their financial standing. So kids aren't being singled out and made to feel ashamed of anything. So that's awesome. Second, he's codified abortion rights in Minnesota. That's amazing. He's really plain spoken. And I don't mean plain spoken in a bad way. Like, I'm not saying he's not smart. He's very smart, but he doesn't pussyfoot around with stuff. And literally, like when he said, mind your own damn business, I was like, there you go. You don't hear people speak that plainly in political speeches. And so I was all about it. I was like, that's awesome. And well, and the fact that he was a school teacher is amazing. Again, my mom was a professor and a teacher, so I'm all about that. And he really, really cared about his students, which is amazing.
Supporting our school systems would be fucking amazing in politics.
Yeah. He was the advisor for the first gay straight alliance at the school. So that's amazing. So yeah, love all that. But I also have to say, and I never thought I would say this, but I love that he tells dad jokes. I just love it. Like, I just want to hug him. And he's got this great relationship with his family, which I'm generally not they're a family man. Generally, whatever. I don't care. As long as they don't go around like,
paying a prostitute to not talk about your affair before
right,
the election.
exactly. Yeah, as long as they don't go around like kicking puppies and doing stupid shit, like
grabbing them by
I don't
the
care.
Pussy.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care about any of that. But it's heartwarming that he has a genuine relation, like positive relationship with his family. So I was on TikTok the other day and I came across this video of him on TikTok with his dog Scout. And he's saying something about, oh, this is our first video on TikTok, or as I like to say, Tim Talk. And I literally just bust a gut. It's the cutest thing. I adore the man. And I even posted this on Facebook, but he appears to be the bio dad that I wish I had.
Aw,
I
that's
mean,
kind of sweet.
yeah.
So you mentioned that he codified abortion in his state. And I did want to mention that Vice President Harris is the first president or vice president that ever went and visited a Planned Parenthood.
Yep.
And that's pretty fucking cool. I've also seen
and
her.
it was in Minnesota that she went to that Planned Parenthood, and Tim Walz was there with her.
Ah, I didn't realize that part.
Mm-hmm.
So that's awesome. So she's been very vocal on that. She's been very vocal about her desire to protect women and children, which I think is fucking needed.
Yeah.
In a big way.
Yeah.
And she's also shown up at lots of Moms Demand Action for sensible gun control for our country.
Yeah.
So even though she's been the top cop, she's talking about supporting, and I actually saw Tim Walz speak about it too. They're both in support of the red flag laws, the proper storage of gun laws, the having proper ID. They both spoke out about banning assault rifles.
Yeah.
This is our ticket to the White House.
And this is coming from Tim Walz, a man who's a hunter.
And he was part of the NRA.
Right. And he used to be totally gung-ho about guns, and he still, I'm sure has his weapons that he, because he's a hunter.
It isn't about taking the gun.
Right. But, and he's very open about this. He had a transformation where after, what was it?
Any of the million school shootings that we've had?
Yeah, I think it was the one, I think it was the Marjorie, what was the school in Florida?
Marjorie Douglas, Stoneman Douglas, Marjorie Stoneman.
Something like that. It was when that school shooting happened, where he was like, oh, wow. And then his daughter came to him and was like, you have to do something about that. And he listened to her, and he actually listened to other people talking about it. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. He goes, I have got to do something. And he did. And he's been so open about that transformation. So if people are like, oh, he flip-flopped, blah, blah, no, he grew and he evolved.
Yep. And I really respect that. I really respect that. And I think about my kids who are almost grown, who have spent their entire time in school being afraid, practicing lockdown. We don't have to live this way, people. We don't have to live this way. Let's vote. Let's vote them in. This is, I cannot wait to see this. Oh, and the other thing before we go that I want to mention is I really, really, really love Vice President Harris's husband and the way that he supports her.
I love Doug Emhoff.
Yes.
I love him.
It's so beautiful. That is just like his willingness to show that you can be a man and still support a successful woman.
Yes. And he's enthusiastic about his support for his wife. And
yes,
I love that.
Me too.
Love that so much. And speaking of, men supporting women, Tim Walz, and I've heard this from other women who have worked with him, he is so comfortable working with strong women and supporting strong women.
That's so great.
So there you go. Love it.
And in my opinion, that is the true masculine. That is the man whether they're in the primary role or the supporting role, but the man who's willing to do either.
Yeah, not just willing, but able to do it
and enthusiastic
to do it well.
Yeah.
And to not be sitting around going, ooh, give me kudos because I'm so supportive of my woman. Support me too. Give me kudos. Look at me. Look at how great I'm doing. Just do it. Just be supportive, for crap's sake.
I cannot wait for that to be the representation of our country. Like, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
I love it. And they are happy people.
Yes.
They are happy people.
Yes.
They are not bitter. They're not hateful. They're not full of spite. They're not vengeful. They're not out for revenge. It does a heart good.
It does a heart good. Were there any other comments any points that we didn't go over that you wanted to talk about?
I think we've covered it. We've covered all of it. It's just, no, you know what? One thing that I will bring up. One thing. Because yes, this is a very truncated campaign for her. Very truncated. And people are excited. People are ecstatic. People are over the moon. And I am here for all of that. I am actually glad that this is a truncated campaign because I do worry that if it were a normal length campaign, I worry that this level of enthusiasm would start to fizzle out too soon. So in this situation, I'm not nervous about it being a truncated campaign. And one thing that I want to come out of this is that we don't have to have people start campaigning 4 years in advance. Can we change the campaign season to just 1 year, please?
How about 6 months?
Yes. We don't need 4 years of campaign.
Yep. I have a few things I want to say real quick that I learned this week. She went to Howard University. I already told you she has cooking videos on her YouTube. Her mom was a scientist.
Her mom did breast cancer research.
Her parents met as part of the civil rights movement, and she attended protests in a stroller. Her grandmother was a birth control advocate. And I think one of the things I like the best about her is I love it when I get to hear her do kind of stern but very direct questioning. I think it was Brent Kavanaugh. Yeah. Was it Brent Kavanaugh when she was asking about his stance on abortion? I mean, she learned a lot in her career, and she can be so fun, full of laughter. She can be fun on her YouTube videos, but she can also get straight to the point and be like, you're not getting away with it. Answer the question, yes or no. Answer the question, yes or no.
Yeah, and she can do that without being condescending or hateful.
Oh, she's skilled.
It is a
skill.
Yes, it is. I would love to learn that skill.
I was going to say, I would like to be able to speak like her.
Yeah.
It's something to aspire to.
Right. And so many kids are going to grow up seeing her and have her as a role model. Oh my God, I'm so excited for kids to grow up with this. I love it.
I don't think you can say it any better than that.
I love it.
Me too.
Everybody, please vote. That is the call to action. Vote, read up, learn all the things, vote. Please vote.
Bye, Raquel.
Bye, Jennifer. Thanks everyone for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com.
Bye.